Hey, come on, ready?
I'm
assuming you're ready.
Yeah.
Live from an anti-DEI salad
Ew.
featuring cauliflower, egg whites, peeled potatoes, and rice. I don't know if rice. I don't know. It's a Business Pants Friday show here at April 3rd Studios, featuring analyst hole Matt Moscardi. On today's weekly wrap-up, Musk gets muskier. Oracle bombs its employees and then gets bombed.
Whoa.
And tech bros get their hands oily, according to you, Matt Moscardi.
Oily. Can we just go back to the salad?
I struggled with that one because I was like, okay, we can't do Greek yogurt. That's too ethnic, right? We can't do mozzarella. Mozzarella's too ethnic. We can't do tofu. That's too, like, woke.
Ethnic.
And ethnic. And then I struggle with rice because really, rice is maybe too ethnic if you think about it.
But there aren't, I guess the point is there aren't enough analogies made to a board of directors and diversity and salad because no one wants a salad with the things that you described. That's the worst sounding salad.
Now I feel like we blew our opportunity at the CII conference. Hopefully they'll have us back because I think the whole thing should be a
just
salad
be about
metaphor.
Salad-based board of directors.
And then what's funny is that we easily could do that.
Yeah, wouldn't even think twice. It's a whole show.
We'd still run out of time. We'd still have half our script left. Our show today is being sponsored by Free Flow Analytics and freeflowanalytics.com. What's the difference? I don't really know. The only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free. And look, if you're an enterprise that's already accessing and using the data, I'm going to tell you this. Just start paying for it. Just call us and write us a check. Just do it for the good of the world.
I mean, the data that's on the free one is like a quarter of the data that
there's
Free
so
Flow
much
Analytics
more
has.
And then you can't donate to nonprofits anymore, so donate to us.
Listen,
to Free Flow.
Yeah, not us, our sponsor. Listen to the Proxy show today. You'll get a sense of how big the analytics are. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
I'll do that. All right, ready for it? Story of the week. I gotta add one.
I'm tired. I'm already tired. We haven't started.
There was a late breaking news I got to add.
Yeah.
New York Times. I'll put that at the end of this story. All right, I'm going to start at the top. Again, no particular order here, and nobody really wants to talk about this first one. But it is our wheelhouse because, public companies is our thing, right? I guess, yeah. And I even hate the way the headline reads, but I guess it's true. Elon Musk's SpaceX. I mean, I hate that we're in an age where it's okay that we are giving a person possession of an entire corporation enterprise. I hate that.
Well,
that must have never been the case, right? It wasn't like Jack Welch's GE, was it? Did they used to do that?
I think it probably was.
Oh, they did.
But my sense is actually that what we should actually be celebrating the fact that they're naming a person because usually they don't name anybody. As the
but
CEO
Elon
anyway,
Musk is a dumb celebrity. Elon Musk's SpaceX set to go public in. At least it looks like at least a $1 trillion share listing, a valuation of almost $2 trillion. Now unfortunately for us, they confidentially filed an initial public offering with the SEC this week, so it's on. But I was gonna look at the data and I forgot. How often is it confidential? What are we doing?
I think the first filing is often confidential. Yeah, I think that's.
But isn't he Mr. Free Speech? He fart jokes? Come on, give us the juice, right? What are you hiding at this point?
Well, maybe there were too many fart jokes in the first filing, and he just didn't. He didn't want to go overboard.
So the sad thing is we don't know much now. We there are hints that of course there will be a dual class structure that gives Elon way too much voting
100%.
power. Even though he already owns
42% of the shares, right?
He already owns 42% of the shares, and that's not enough for the wimpy baby. He needs more control. I do know this. Donald Trump Jr. of all people, through 1789 Capital, where he's like I don't know what he is there, a partner. He owns shares. He owns shares in SpaceX. That's exciting. A Trump family member.
Finally, the Trump family member getting ahead. Yeah.
And then you just pulled this out. We don't know any board members now yet, so I'm going to hold off on that. There's some conjecture online, and there is a woman. I do see a woman on that list. I don't know who she is. Gwynne Shotwell, but we don't really know. But the New York Times just announced within the last few minutes that Elon will be requiring the Wall Street firms who are part of the banks, I think I read there's like 17 banks part of this offering. He's requiring them to purchase subscriptions of Grok.
Yeah.
The AI chatbot. I mean, I know I'm a simpleton and I don't love money the way most people love money, but to me, I'd be like, no, we're done. Like, no, you cannot require me.
I heard Free Float makes you sign up for their newsletter when you get their data. I heard that.
Maybe that could be different. It's possible. Anyway, this is just Elon. Elon's always just. I'm so done with it. I'm just so done.
Well, look, the fact is, there is a grand master plan, and it's not like combining all these companies into one as the grand, which is like what everyone talks about.
I thought that we're waiting for Tesla to fold into it.
The grand master plan is for Musk to consolidate his personal ownership and control over all of the companies, right? Because he doesn't have control over Tesla technically. Technically, it's one share, one vote. But they keep giving him more shares.
But if SpaceX buys it, isn't it over?
And then, like all the speculation, no one's talking about the fact that SpaceX, the likelihood is everything gets folded under SpaceX,
it's
where
already
he's going to have control.
It already bought XAI and something else too, didn't it?
XAI and
one other entity.
Not Neuralink. Boring company? No. One of his other dopey companies. Yes. And, like Tesla bought Solar City. This is what Musk does. He makes companies.
His cousin was the one who ran that one, right?
Goes around and finds cousins to buy shit from. And
as a culture, aren't we done with this? Like, how do we? I don't know. No one can answer this question, but I know that we are done with this guy.
I'm just tired.
How do we remove ourselves from his world? When did it? Here's my question to you, and then we can move on. When did it become okay to create a real life Lex Luthor who is controlling space, who's controlling the exploration of space? How did it get into the private realm so easily and quickly? Was I asleep for 30 years? Like, how is this okay?
I want to know when investors. Okay, so like
you didn't
200
answer my
years
question,
ago,
notice. Yeah.
200 years ago, you would invest in a company. That company would be like Joe and his plow, like down the street, right? You'd give him like $10 and he would start plowing and he'd give you some interest on your money, or that your investments were like local, right? And when it was local, the scrutiny you would give to the people that you lent money to or invested in was actually pretty high. That the original incarnation of Moody's and S&P, the credit rating agencies, the mercantile agency, the original incarnation of it was local people figuring out, are you divorced and having affairs? Are you a religious person? Do you regularly attend church? Do you like... It was about like the individual proprietors and whether or not they were trustworthy human beings. I want to know when in the last 100 years, every investor decided to bend the knee to every motherfucker who runs a company.
Well, not only that, but this guy is, I mean, he's a bit exceptional too, right? He's not just a greedy dude. He's basically...
He's the greedy dude.
On the wrong side of every like... thing that we hold to be morally right? He's a racist, he's a misogynist, he's everything.
Yes, but like Zuckerberg was quietly all those things, and
he's a drug addict, he's a liar, like, he's a stock manipulator, he's like everything.
When did we go from prove that we should trust you and prove that like you're a person of value and worth and you're going to enhance society and like that, to whatever you want, take our money, please. Just take it. We'll give up all control.
Actually, I do know.
We don't care who you are. Just take it all.
I do know, and I didn't include this anywhere in the show this week, but there was a study that people who spend a high amount of hours on social media every week don't believe in democracy as much as people who don't. Right?
I'm shocked.
So social media, this age of information, I don't know what this age is called, is diminishing our relationship with democracy. That's what did this. What did this is there's so much out there now. It is so much slop and content that I just think people let everything happen now. It's just a circus, right? No one can pay attention to anything. Anyway.
All right, let's contribute to the slop. What's the next story?
Are we part of the slop? I do ask myself
this. We have to be, right? Like, we're talking about this shit, regardless of the fact that we spent like 20 years studying this.
Well,
right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Regardless of that, we're talking about it.
But I slightly resent the accusation because as an enterprise, we dabbled very briefly in like putting out social media things like posts and memes and videos, and we quickly were like, we hate this.
Yeah, we hate.
So we stopped. So I don't think well-researched shows that everything we do is researched to the nth degree.
I'm exhausted from all the research.
And all of our scripts we have record of. Everything has citations in it. So if anyone were ever to like come in and audit us, it's all there. So is that slop? I don't know if it's slop. Is it?
Well, I mean, like, the problem is you can't differentiate between slop and not slop,
That's
right?
true.
Like, well,
that's not our fault.
Anyone know that? It's not our fault. But what's the difference anymore?
That's why everyone was afraid of us at the CII conference until they heard.
Heard us do it. Yeah,
we actually have research and data. And
look, I've like they just passed a local town budget, and I watched every meeting online, and like. Even in the local town budget board of education meeting, there was a woman who was like, let's kill the DEI program. She was a Republican. She said, you have an Office of Equity Advancement. Kill it. And when asked, the reason why she wanted to kill it, which has been around in this town, it's been around for 20 years or 15 years. It's a long time, right? Like this isn't like a local woke thing. This is like for a long time. It's been a problem and they've been trying to fix it. And when asked, why do you want to kill this? How much in the budget do you think this would save? She said, effectively, I'm just asking the question here.
Yeah.
It's the classic fucking thing where you have no idea. That's what the slop is. I'm just asking questions. I don't know.
But I actually have a story on this later. One of my stories of the week. This is how we operate now with speed and without facts.
No facts, all speed. All right, we're back.
Yeah, by the way, give her my number because I'm gonna give her a list of states she should move to because we just don't have time for that up here.
I know it's like a waste.
This is not how we are up here. So just stop.
It's a waste. All right. Yeah. Go to the next story.
Second story of the week. I feel like we've talked about this way too much at this point. I'll try to go quickly.
It's your favorite story, though.
I'm going to pretend that people listen to all of our shows and every second of our babble. But the Air Canada CEO, Michael Rousseau, will step down. So in a nutshell, a plane collided with I think a fire truck at LaGuardia Airport. 2 pilots died. And notably for this story, it was a French-speaking pilot. And then Michael Rousseau delivered an address to the people only in English. And the background here is that Canada is officially bilingual. Air Canada is headquartered in Quebec, which is the most French of them all. But look, the guy promised to learn French years ago, and he even said, like, despite all the lessons, I just can't figure it out. He said this. And
despite all the lessons, I can't figure out
Figure it out, which means he doesn't care. And for anyone, I know, look, I know you hate this, but I lived in Quebec, and this is like a serious thing up there. This is not a joke to them. So saying that their point of view is basically you just don't care because anyone can learn a language, right? So he said he's not going to step down. And then a few days later, of course, he's suddenly retiring, right? And the company said, oh, this has been, we've been looking for, we've had this is their quote, we've had a comprehensive internal development program, a succession plan in place for the last 2 years. So this has nothing to do with everyone's always lying. He's not stepping down. He's clearly fired. So that's the story. We started talking about this last week when I was very angrily and sweatily pleading with this guy to leave because it's ridiculous to me. And then you know who comes in? You know who has an opinion about this? Guess who has an opinion about this?
If it's not Jamie Dimon, it can only be Elon Musk.
It's worse. I wish it was Jamie Dimon. It's Elon Musk.
Yeah, of course it is.
Speaking to your point, he pops in on X or Twitter or whatever and called the decision, quote unquote, crazy because he says there are many one-sided laws in Canada that mandate French at the expense of English. Again, he has no idea what he's talking about.
You don't live in Canada.
And
why
for
the
a guy,
fuck should anyone listen to you?
And for a guy who is like, he's feverishly trying to preserve the white race, right? He won't let the French-speaking people of North America try to preserve their language who doesn't get completely eradicated. He has no sympathy with this because if you don't have language laws, French will cease to exist on the continent. And excuse me, Elon, for these people giving a shit.
But it doesn't. The point isn't that French should exist in Quebec.
Why can't they preserve their culture?
Why is he weighing in?
Why is he weighing in? I have no idea.
What does this have to do with anything?
This is why
it's
the bankers.
Canadian company. He doesn't fly it. He's got private jets if he needs to get anywhere. He's the richest man. Why are you fucking weighing in?
And I don't know if Elon's ever been to.
Anyone need your opinion about this?
And I don't know if Elon's ever been to Montreal, but they don't need your help. It's a wonderful, beautiful city, great culture. They don't need your help, Elon.
And to Michael Rousseau. You know that a Duolingo account is $30 a month for the Supermax plan,
and I bet Air Canada would have paid for that.
You could have afforded it. I
had a friend who worked for Santander, the Spanish bank, and they gave him. He's not a CEO, believe me. I don't have friends who are CEOs. They gave him free language lessons, so I bet you he could have gotten free language lessons.
I'm pretty sure they give it to the CEO.
All right, let's move on.
He didn't even step down, though. He stepped down later this year. Right, he's still there.
Thing is a crock. Third story of the week, Oracle. Oracle fired up to 30,000 of its workers via email. This is the headline. Fired up to 30,000 workers via email after a 95% profit surge. How about that for a juxtaposition? I love that one.
Oracle, run by Larry Ellison, owned by Larry Ellison, the Ellison family, right?
And I know this is like becoming a tedious story, but I wanted to point out...
Did Elon Musk have something to say?
No, but I wanted to point out that... So they got an email at 6 a.m., these thousands of people. It started off with this. We are sharing some difficult news regarding your position. Blah, 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 blah. Today's your last working day. And then, and then the sign off is they gave a phone number. Thank you for your contributions. If you have any additional questions, please please reach out to. It's a toll-free number to call it. Human Resources. There's no names in any of this, and it's signed Oracle Leadership. No names. And as we know the governance shit show of Oracle. There's like 17 co-CEOs.
Yeah, there's
95 vice chairs. There's former CEO. There's brothers and sons. I don't know what's going on. It's Larry Ellison. Larry, you couldn't sign the email. You couldn't say, hey, fuck you, have a good life, like love Larry. Like, well, come on.
You have to sympathize a little bit with Larry here because he just spent so much money on his kid buying companies that he needed to get that money from somewhere. And isn't the easiest place to get it from is to fire 30,000 employees at once and just take their money? How else is he going to fund his media empire now?
Already follow-up reporting saying that the quote-unquote survivors of the cuts have been told to ramp up efficiency and stretch to cover the workload left by departed colleagues. How about that? That almost seems worse to me. They want them to stretch.
Okay, let's say so. Oracle is 160,000 people total, right? They just cut 30,000.
Yeah.
If you're part of the 130,000 left over and you think that you're safe now, you're next. Just find the job now. Just get out now. When you get the follow-up email that says, we're going to need you to work harder, not get more money, just work harder, leave. Just fucking quit in solidarity. Like, I would just turn in my badge that day because, like, you're going to either stay there in fear that you're next because you are next. It's just when. Or you're going to leave now and go find another fucking job. Go till some land because it's fucking crazy.
I support what you're saying, but even better, why don't you start the tech worker revolution and try to form a union before you quit? Like, let's get that going. Because if you had a union in place, you could fight a lot of this.
Like, you're telling me that of the 30,000, there's no talented people. Go start companies with those 30,000. Like, what? I don't. It's nuts right now.
Yeah, what's even worse to me, which nobody's going to care about probably, is that we are also, and this is not new, but we are firmly in the age of these uber wealthy, billionaires who control these companies. They're using algorithms and automated tools to figure out which employees to fire. They can't even take their jobs seriously anymore. I mean, and who knows how many mistakes that's making, right? We're already there though. We're there. That's just the way it is. And it looks like you have something to say before I move on. You have something to say?
Well, no, I just like I
don't always have something to say. Come on, let's be honest.
I don't know if like workers realize that we've fully transitioned into a serf system of ownership, right? Like,
except the tech workers could unionize.
Distinct from like slavery, where a person owned, like there was an owner and a slave, right? A person owned a person. And the person owns the land, and the serf is tied to the land. Effectively, there's nowhere else to go. You're terrified to leave, but you have no rights. You basically are at the whim of the owner of the land. And what they give you is effectively some version of mafia protection. That is exactly what is happening.
Well, we've talked about this before too. The other problem here, which the CEOs of tech companies have figured out, is that they pay them just enough to mollify them all. Like,
of course, they don't to not say anything
because they're probably, most of the actions of the companies go against their moral code, but they're making a lot of money, and they're probably like so deep into expensive West Coast mortgages that they can't break up with these companies because their whole lives will collapse because they're probably their kids are going to Marin County private schools. They have huge mortgages. Life is expensive. Like they're tied to these people. I mean,
but that's the myth, right? Like yes and no. Like that's true. But the history of it is like in Europe, serfdom ended because the Black Death killed so many people.
Are you calling AI Black Death?
There was no advantage being a serf, and then labor became more valuable, right? Like, I mean, your value increases when you leave these assholes.
That's true. You can't even
demand things. To your point about unionizing, right?
You know what's worse? You can't even surf up here in Maine anymore because of global warming, because the sharks are coming up more. Is that what we're talking about?
No, please don't use puns. No, this is a pun-free zone.
Is that a pun?
I don't like this.
All right.
Yes.
Can we move on? Before we get to it, this is how horrible our world is getting. Well, I mean, as you know, there's a war going on in the Middle East. A horrible war.
Where?
And the rhetoric out of there is so shameful and horrible. And yet, again, we're like, since we live in the era of slop, I don't even hear people like complaining about this. But I heard that Trump was talking about bombing them back to the Stone Ages, and I just like I think about Elon Musk going to space. It's like who gives anyone the right to say and do things like that? But here's the point: Iran is figuring out all kinds of like ways to fight back. Like most of it seems to involve like guerrilla warfare. Really, like they're sending like $20 drones up as we shoot like $5 million missiles at them. But now they're threatening to strike big tech companies in the Middle East, and there was a report out. I don't know the validity of all this because there's a lot of the fog of war. But Iran claims a strike against Oracle, the company we're talking about in the United Arab Emirates. So they say they're striking at these companies.
But it's hard.
Which is better than schools, by the way.
But it's hard to feel bad.
I don't
for
want
the
you to strike
companies,
anyone.
In part because the companies that they're targeting are Trump's biggest funders and
I get
backers right now.
I get
right?
it.
Like, if you want to kneecap Trump, like we did the exact same thing with Russian oligarchs. It is a little ironic that Iran has figured out, in order to fight back, they close the Strait of Hormuz, which means it's a choke point. You can't get oil out.
What is it,
you
like
can't
a
get fertilizer?
A fifth, a quarter of the world's oil?
It's like a
goes
fifth
through
of the world's oil and
Right.
like supplies, and you attack the oligarchs. You attack the oligarchy.
Larry
Iran
Ellison.
is doing exactly that. Larry Ellison, but they also threaten Google and Nvidia.
Right, there you go.
They're literally attacking everyone who showed up at a fucking Trump dinner.
Yeah.
And paying for his ballroom, paying for his library, donating, getting buddy. We are Russia right now.
I would agree, because I have a brief dumb joke in the Proxy Countdown show that we're also going to record this week, where I basically made an analogy of Sundar Pichai to Breaking Bad, the character in Breaking Bad. I mean, they're getting so much like money thrown at them to just keep doing dumb things that it's like, how is it different than a drug lord at this point? Like,
it's not.
It's like society's not asking for these things, and yet they're making billions of dollars off of them. Anyway, let's move on to the last story, because
oh my God, there's another
hopefully
story.
I'll try to go quickly on this. I'm going to try. This one is a shade out of our corporate world, but the overlaps are so severe that I had to add this to the story of the week. We have been trying through data to demonstrate the anti-DEI crusade going on in the corporate world, right? We actually talked about this. We had some questions about this at the CIA conference. So we're tracking all the different ways that we're seeing mostly women and people of color. Women and people of color leaving boardrooms, leaving C-suite jobs, but the overlap in the government is because it seems to have come from Trump and the oligarch world that you were referring to, right? Because the messaging came from that world. No, where else did it come from? It did.
Yeah, the techno man babies are
All of it,
and
right?
DeSantis
They
and
determined
Musk and
they suddenly determined that woke and DEI is bad, and a lot of people are going along with it. Unfortunately, a lot of people are the CEOs that run the biggest corporations.
yeah,
in
and
the world.
like I said, it's filtered all the way down to local politics, where someone comes with no receipts and says we should kill DEI and has no reasoning. It started at the top with no reasoning.
So this is the brainwashing that woman in Connecticut is getting, and let me point out the parallels here. Trump is already just like his first administration. He's starting to melt down, and he's starting to get rid of all the great people that he's already hired, because this is the way he rolls, right? So, but let me actually point out who they are. First, he started with Kristi Noem, a woman, right? She was the first one to go. Now, Pam, and I'm not making a case whether these people deserve their jobs or not, or whether they're horrible,
No, they're horrible
people or
at their
not.
jobs.
Right?
Yeah.
That's beside the point. They're all horrible, but Kristi Noem. Now we're on to Pam Bondi, right?
Yeah, it just got canned. Yep.
Attorney General. Listen to these headlines. Trump tells Caroline Leavitt, she's the press secretary, right? Mm-hmm. She's doing a terrible job right in front of the press corps. Asks, should we keep her? He is demeaning the woman, again, right in front of the world. So she's on the chopping block. Now they're saying that Kash Patel might be next, person of color. And then listen to this. So Pete Hegseth has just ousted the top Army general, right? His name is Randy George. He's a white man. So does that break the pattern? No. You want to know the reason why he fired Randy George?
I know the reason, yeah.
Because he refused. So there was a list of promotions going on in the Army, and 2 of them were black and 2 of them were women. Pete Hegseth said, "Do not promote." Hegseth. What is it?
Hegseth, yeah.
Well, there should be a better name, like dumb Pete, asshole Pete. I don't know what
there
he
you go.
is.
That's
Nazi
better.
Pete. Yeah. He said, "Do not promote them." Randy George, to your credit, refused because they're decorated people and they're more than qualified, and he got fired for it. He got fired for refusing for not promoting people who are capable. Okay. Then This one really got me. I know, again, you're going to be like, same old, same old. The next person on the chopping block is the Secretary of the Army. His name is Daniel Driscoll. Again, he's a white guy, but I guess he sucks, right? He's a dope. Let me tell you about this guy. This is a guy appointed by Hegseth, Secretary of the Army. He spent 4 years serving in the military, right? 4 years. Then he went off. Then he went off to do all the normal elite stuff. He went to Yale Law School, which I thought these people hated, but I don't know. I don't know what they
all
hate.
went to Yale, didn't they?
He went to Yale Law
Princeton.
School, and then he settled in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where he was a venture capital executive. He was a COO at Flex Capital Management. He was chief strategy at on-call physician staff. I don't know. I don't know what the hell he was doing. He was doing dumb stuff. And then suddenly he worked for the J.D. Vance campaign, then worked for the Donald Trump campaign, and suddenly he's a Secretary of the Army, right? I mean, this is meritocracy at its finest, right?
Yeah.
This guy is a know-nothing.
10 minutes in the Army, spent a lot of time not in the Army, made the Secretary of the Army. Yeah.
Now listen to the previous Secretary of the Army, the 25th Secretary of the Army of the United States of America. I'll try to go quickly here. Her name is Christine Wormuth. She actually filled the whole term, 2021 to 2025, right? Because there's no reason to fire her. I'll try to go quickly here. The first thing was she was a presidential management intern, Department of Defense. Then she was a policy officer, French desk officer of the Secretary of Defense. She was a consulting at DFI Government Services Staff Director, Commission on Iraq Security for. This goes on and on. Principal Department Assistant Secretary, Homeland Defense.
Principally,
Special Assistant to the President, Senior Director, National Security Council. This is a 25-year career that ended with her being the Undersecretary of Defense for policy. And then appointed the Secretary of the Army. I mean, this is an incredible woman with incredible expertise and incredible experience appointed by President Biden. And then we get to the Trump administration, and this is how the anti-DEI meritocracy works. They appoint a dumbass because he's a white dude. So again,
but he's on the chopping block because he partnered with Randy George and said, we cannot.
That's why I didn't realize that. So
Yeah,
it's an anti-DEI
it's
purge.
anti-DEI.
I mean, this is just too much. Again, and I repeat to anyone who's ever questioned about the meritocracy and anti-DEI, force them to give you the qualification, the data.
Metric.
What
data
are
point.
the objective criteria to define the meritocracy? Like, force them to tell you this. Don't buy into anything. Don't buy into like ESG is bad. ESG is like DEI is it's not a material. Blah 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 bullshit. Force them to prove it.
All right.
I said too much.
Okay, my four are Elon Musk's SpaceX IPO, Air Canada's CEO retiring someday, Oracle chopping 30,000 employees, and the anti-DEI crusade. The anti-DEI crusade is now in its second year. I'm not going to choose that as the story of the week.
Okay, but
I know Pam Bondi, we're weeding out the lack of meritocracy that got put up. I mean, is there a more DEI person than Pam Bondi? She had no qualifications for the job.
Yeah.
He just chooses women with large breasts who are generally blonde and moderately attractive.
No, they're all blonde.
No, Christine Ohm wasn't blonde.
Oh, that's true.
So,
but she did a lot of like fake stuff. So maybe she dyed her hair. Who knows?
I mean, she was into cosplay. So who knows?
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is the unqualified people just surround Trump. He chooses loyalty over qualifications, and
which sounds like the corporate
nothing
boardroom.
less meritocracy than that.
Which is
right?
what the data at Freeflow Analytics is trying to help you. It's trying to help you vote against these directors this year if you have a spine. Go ahead.
Yeah, no one does. So I can't pick that one. I can't pick Air Canada's CEO because that's your story of the year, and I think it's dumb.
No, it's not. It's not anymore because they did the right thing. He left.
I get it. He left but stayed a little bit longer. I'm not going to choose SpaceX until we get the S1.
Wait,
when we get the filing,
what are you picking? Yeah,
I'm choosing Oracle. The story of the week is Oracle, and you're going to see why, because I also chose it as a example of how we get to the asshole of the week. Yeah, let's keep going, because we need to do That was the longest first segment
Sorry.
ever.
I had a lot of information there for people. You know, people are dopey. They need this information. Otherwise they're just dumb. They're staring at the wall.
I'm staring at the wall. What's your goodliest?
I have two, and I'm just going to say them quickly. I'm not going to say anything else so we can keep this show moving. Judge rules Trump order eliminating NPR PBS funding is unconstitutional. And then United Airlines and flight attendants reach a tentative deal with $740 million in bonuses. I don't know why some industries have robust unions and others don't. I don't get it. But, you know, hats off to that union there. What do you have?
I have one, and this is kind of like backwards, but Amazon to add 3.5% fuel and logistics surcharge for sellers as Iran war drives up energy prices. So
it's just assholey the best.
First of all, like,
why is that good?
Total asshole, because like they're charging the sellers, right? They're not charging the buyer, meaning you don't get it. The seller has to make a choice. The local sellers, the small businesses,
they're just going to bump up their price.
And then you're not going to buy theirs. You're going to buy the Amazon products first, where the surcharge doesn't exist. Okay. But what I like about it is get the fuck off of Amazon and go to a local store now.
I've done that. Yeah, it feels good. I got to tell you this too, that you could add to that as an addendum is that already the airlines are, I think, as much as United between $10 to $50 they're adding on now for baggage fees because of the war. Because of the fuel. Yeah. There are, so to your point, take the train. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Staycation. Work in your garden or something, or do something new. Take a walk.
There's so much you could do. Like when you look outside,
drive to Montreal.
Your kids have like a broken, sandbox in the backyard you've been meaning to fix for 10 years. Do that instead of going somewhere.
Take your EV somewhere
Fuck
nice.
These companies.
Yeah, all right. What do you got?
That's what I got. Let's do assholes. That was good. That was quick. Oh, by the way, the goodliest was Judge rules against Trump on NPR.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, there wasn't any question about that. All right.
Well, unlike the corporate world, at least the judicial system seems to be fighting back. All right, what do you got?
I got three, and I'm going to try to go fast through the first two and then spend a little bit of time on the last one because I did some math.
He says. Go ahead.
Here's the first category, lying est.
I don't understand what that means, lying.
All right, this is just big fat fucking liars. And the liar this time is engine number one. Do you remember engine number one?
Oh, yeah. This is kind of like your version of Jeffrey Sonnenfeld. You love talking about engine number one.
Oh, my God.
I love talking about Jeffrey Sonnenfeld. Go ahead.
Engine number one was an activist investor who went after ExxonMobil for having an insular board, and they got called a climate darling. Engine number one fashioned themselves as sort of climate activists, and what they did was 5 years ago now, they put board members on Exxon's board. They won a proxy campaign. They spent $20 million in marketing to get their board members elected on the ExxonMobil board. At the time, we still existed. We did shows. We did a ton of data. What we found was every one of the board members.
We still exist now?
Barely. Every one of the board members at engine number one that they selected to put on the Exxon board, they were all fucking oil people. They were all like horrible, industry people, and they were all like greenwashed into looking like brilliant environmentalists. One of them had ran an oil company.
Yeah, Greg Goff,
right? Greg Goff, and fought against the EPA regulating oil.
Before it was cool to fight against the EPA.
And somehow investors bought it as like, oh, this is good for the environment. This is good for the board. It's insular. We're going to put in all these outsiders and whatever. Exxon was so angry at that the next year they flooded the board. They increased the size of the board and added more of their own members.
Yeah, right.
Then they went on to sue their own shareholder for asking environmental questions.
Unprecedented.
And this year they are offering to retail investors only a vote capture program. They're calling it like vote choice, where they're saying, why don't you just let us vote your shares? We'll vote it with management. You trust us. We're happy to vote for you. Yeah. And they're expecting to get as much as 10% of the vote basically in management's pocket before we even started. They were so fucking angry.
The takeaway here is don't date Exxon, because when you break up with them, they're going to drive you crazy.
I have never seen more petulant man-baby activity by a board as this. This is
for a company that's already a thriving success.
Come on.
They just had their most successful quarter ever this quarter.
Come on. Well, this is what got them engine number one. Oh, I thought it was an asshole the whole time. This is what gets them back in the headlines. The headline actually says Chevron and Microsoft team up for giant Texas gas power plant.
I don't like
That's
this.
what the headline
I thought
said.
Microsoft was like the good guys.
Okay, so first of all, Microsoft pledged to be carbon negative by 2050, right?
Yeah.
So the way they're actually doing that now, because they're building gas plants, is they went and bought carbon credits from a company called Momback that said they're going to do Amazon reforestation. Momback, by the way, got massive purchases from Microsoft and Google, despite having never issued a carbon credit anywhere and not done a thing yet. Right? So already it's already fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, engine number one, everyone's climate darling at Exxon, they're the ones who partnered with They are currently partnered with Chevron on this Microsoft gas power plant that's getting built. Engine number one, and they're all white, all male executive team, and they're all white, all male board, are with deep backgrounds in investment banking, are celebrating the big bullshit bill that Trump did to roll back renewables. They decided to take Chevron and they're celebrating the big bullshit bill and Venezuelan oil, and they are building a gas plant for Microsoft. Bunch of fucking greenwashy lying bastards everywhere.
I will say this. I'm looking at Momback's leadership. They do have a woman. They have one
Yeah,
out of
I
eight's
know.
a woman.
I looked at them. Yeah. They have
Cool.
a massive staff for a group that's never done a thing.
But they do have a woman. They have a woman.
Hundreds of millions in venture capital and hundreds
I don't like
of millions.
any of that.
It's
I don't like that.
horrible. All right,
I
that's
don't
number
like
one.
this.
Number two, the investoriest assholes I could think of this week.
You do this every week.
And this is every investor at Starbucks.
Oh, here we
Not
go.
every, but most investors at Starbucks.
Not Steven or Linda.
No, Steve and
We
Linda
like
are
them.
fine by me. I like them. Linda especially. The Starbucks had their annual general meeting. The average approval for the Starbucks board was 95.7%
Okay.
approve of the board members.
That almost seems low.
That
right?
includes the 99% approval for Marissa Mayer, who not only sits on the Starbucks board with Brian Niccol, but also the Walmart board with Brian Niccol.
Is she on Chevron too? No, she's not on Chevron.
She's on something else too. She's on a bunch of things. Somehow Marissa Mayer still has a career despite being the highest, notoriously the most excessive CEO pay for a failing company in the history of failing companies.
Well, look,
at Yahoo.
We have demonstrated this already. It is a protected class. Once you enter the class of C-suite or directors, you basically can't.
You're never leaving.
Screw up. You can't. Like, it doesn't matter.
In fact, we did an analysis for CII, but I expanded it and did it in the last zine. If you didn't get the last zine, the results of the vote at Starbucks were more correlated with drink disclosures in the proxy than they were with performance metrics of those directors. The performance metrics suggested that half of these people should be voted out, but actually the vote was correlated with the drinks that they chose. The more sugary the drink and new wage the drink, the worse your votes were. You should just drink lattes if you're on the Starbucks board. You're insulated.
I like a latte.
This is after a campaign by New York State, New York City, Merseyside, Trillium, a bunch of investors campaigned to target Beth Ford and Jorgen Nudstorp, the lead independent director, because Starbucks agreed to create a committee that would deal with the union problems on the board. They created that committee. And then Niccol, a year and a half later, shuttered that committee. And the only way it gets shuttered is if Niccol says so and Nudstorp agrees. Not Beth Ford. Beth Ford has nothing to do with it. ISS basically says, we agree that you should target Beth Ford, probably because she's a woman. There's no other logical explanation for targeting her.
This one killed me. Was it because she was the chair of the committee that
she was the
Brian
chair
Nichols
of that
got
committee.
rid of?
Yeah, Brian Niccol gets rid of a committee, and you're going to vote against the chair of the committee.
This was ISS and Glass Lewis, or just ISS?
I only remember ISS. I don't want to demean Glass Lewis until after I find out.
Yeah, get the giant cotton ball out of your brain, because what are you doing? I mean...
But the investors who were targeting Nudstorp and and Beth Ford were worried about labor issues, and that's what this was supposed to solve. And they didn't target nickel because everyone's afraid in the end. But the lowest vote getter was Andy Campion, the head of the audit committee, who got 87% against or for reasons that are totally unclear. I don't know why he got the lowest support. I can't figure it out. And then, and this is what makes these investors the biggest fucking asshole.
All right.
Here's the headline I saw.
Go ahead.
Starbucks to offer baristas up to $1,200 a year in bonuses.
Up to
12. But look, that sounds good on its face. Baristas are getting bonuses until I read the actual article, and it said, quote, baristas at unionized locations are unlikely to see the bonus program right away. In fact, they're unlikely to see it
Can they do that
at all. Because
is that legal?
So what? Because they unionized, and this is why Starbucks is doing it, because they unionized, it has to go through collective bargaining.
Oh, so that's an F
Starbucks has not agreed to any collective bargaining. They've been dragging their feet. They're not negotiating. So what Starbucks can do, what Brian Niccol can do, not Starbucks, Brian Niccol, CEO chair Brian Niccol, is he can hand out bonuses to everyone else while he is like hemming and hawing and not actually negotiating with the union. And then go to the union and say, sorry, we can't pay you until you agree to something. It's the biggest fucking asshole move. And investors were upset about this, rightly upset about this when they targeted some people. Yeah. But most investors don't give a fuck. Just vote for everybody. Vote them all in. Who cares?
Can I drop some populist math?
Please. I have some later.
This is where... This is why, like, I'm like incredulous about this world of Lex Lutherism we live in. $1,200 bonus. There's an estimate. They estimate about 130,000 baristas in the U.S. Right?
Yeah.
If you just do the simple populist math, that's only $156 million, which is barely more than the first pay package, the first year of Brian Niccol's pay package.
Nickel got $96 million for.
I mean, think about that. I mean, it's not even that much of a. 1,200 to everyone sounds super. First of all, it's up to 1,200, so that populist math might be wrong. I mean, it is wrong, right? But it's barely the equivalent of his first year of pay.
His barista.
This is how crazy we've gotten.
CEO to barista bonus pay ratio
before he did anything,
is about
before he accomplished anything
to 1. Yeah. Before anything. So that's number 2. That's option number 2. And
by the way, before we sign off on Starbucks, Marissa, she's a busy, friend. Walmart, and these are like classic companies: Walmart, Starbucks, AT&T, Hilton, and she's supposedly the CEO of a technology company. So how does she have time for all this?
I don't know.
She doesn't.
She hasn't.
No, she doesn't.
No, she didn't do, though, yet. And this is a shout out to Glass Lewis and ISS for their incredible metrics. She didn't get a 5th board because then they would have to vote against her as
I was going to say, how was she the number one vote getter how is she the number one vote getter when she sits on 4 boards?
99% 4. AIEist is my final category.
All right.
I'm going to read. First, I'm going to read 4 headlines, and then I'm going to dive into the last one. Jack Dorsey says he wants 6,000 block employees reporting straight to him.
He's becoming the new blowhard of the world.
What a fucking asshole! After 4,000 employees he fired, they all already report to you. You're a dual class dictator, you dumbass. Sam Altman says he miscalibrated the mood of distrust toward AI and the government in the Pentagon deal.
He says this a
really?
lot,
You miscalibrated? NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang's advice to workers scared of AI: you're just confusing your job with the tools you use to do it.
Yeah, I stared at that for a while, just like our listeners stare at the wall. I don't know. What's he talking about? I don't understand.
He's saying, you shouldn't be afraid to use your job because this is just a tool for you to do your job. Meanwhile, Larry Ellison cut 30,000 employees because of AI. So much for fucking tools.
Meanwhile, you're talking about the tool that's making you an uber billionaire. So, we know what you're doing. Go ahead.
Then finally, this one triggered me. Mark Andreessen. Now, look, if you listen to the show, you have no idea who Mark Andreessen is. He was the founder of like Netscape.
He might be the worst of
ago.
them all on some level.
He made billions of dollars. He's a Peter Thiel behind all of these current tech billionaires. He's early invested in Mark Zuckerberg. He's early invested in Musk. He's one of those like techno-libertarian.
He writes horrible manifestos.
Horrible human beings who spends his time demeaning everyone who doesn't think that tech bros should rule the world. That's all he does.
That the culture and world never asked for.
Mark Andreessen says AI layoffs are a farce. Companies are 75% overstaffed, and AI is the silver bullet excuse to clean house.
So
here's what he said on a podcast.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quote, essentially, every large company is overstaffed.
First of all, I hate the beginning anyway, because like
already.
How does he know this? He puts no effort into any of this.
It's at least overstaffed by 25%.
Oh, right. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying.
I think most large companies are overstaffed by 50%.
Oh, now we're at 50. I mean, proving that none of this is scientific.
A lot of them are overstaffed by 75%.
Yeah, he has no idea what he's talking about.
Now they all have the silver bullet excuse. It's AI.
No, it's greed.
Yeah, despite record profits every single year, increasing CEO pay every single year, the companies are overstaffed. Yeah. Overstaffed.
Well, hey, then we should figure out how to fire the founders and CEOs, because that means they're terrible at their jobs, right? But we can't get access to Mark Zuckerberg and the likes because they hide behind dual class shares.
So I did the populist math.
Go ahead.
Assume every large company is a company in the U.S. with a market cap greater than $20 billion.
Did he submit like a research paper along with this with like citations?
No. He just said it on a podcast.
He just said
the way
it.
The blowhards did. Yeah. I did the fucking research. Okay,
so he knows that like Pepsi, for instance, is 75% over. So he just knows.
He just knows that while he's drinking a Pepsi. All right, companies with market cap greater than $20 billion, I'm going to say those are the large companies he's talking about. U.S. companies, big companies. There's 415 of them, okay?
That's a lot for him to study and have done this math so quickly.
Oh, I know. But he's busy. He's using
And how did he even get access to that data there? I mean, did they give him access to all this data to figure out their staffing issues?
The total employment of those companies, according to their disclosures last year, was 27.8 million human beings. Okay. 27.8 million. The total estimated employed people in the U.S. is 163 million. So basically, that's 17% of all U.S. employment at these companies.
Wow. That's controlled by only, go ahead.
Controlled by 400 CEOs.
Yeah, and like 4,000 directors.
Of employment, right? 4,000 directors, right. Currently, there's 7.2 million unemployed people in the U.S. We have a 62% labor rate, or labor participation rate. Andreessen's midpoint, most large companies are overstaffed by 50%. Okay?
Yeah.
Means that if every company listened to this fatuous fuckface and fired 50% of their employees and said it was for AI, blamed AI, that's 13.9 million people who lose their job. 13.9 million. Unemployment goes from 163 million to 149 million. Unemployment overnight would go from 4%, where it is now, to 12%.
Wow.
A 3x increase in unemployment because this guy thinks you're overstaffed.
Yeah, well, he did the due diligence. But can I just tell you that, so if you multiply, so Oracle reportedly laying off 30,000. If you multiply that figure by 415, that's the amount of companies you're talking about, that's 12.5 million. To your point, it's basically the number you cited, 13.9 million, right?
Well, I'm not kidding. Like, I did the real numbers. I used real numbers from the real companies.
As we know from Block, as we know from Oracle, it's all made up. They made this decision like basically overnight. Like they're not studying long term, they're not studying back. They're just kind of like, hey, I don't know. Dartboard. Let's dartboard this.
Well, it's not so much that they didn't study. It's they studied a different thing. Because I read, this is the rabbit hole I went down today.
Go.
There are studies that show correlations between layoffs and stock price. Okay? First of all.
I don't like
recent
this.
studies actually show usually it's negative because when you're laying people off, you're laying them off because the economy's bad or you made bad decisions and you get punished for laying off because you go on an earnings call, you say earnings are down, and as a result, we're going to lay off people, and then the stock price goes down. But recently, the trend in the last 3-4 years have shown layoffs actually push stocks up over time. In fact,
saving
over
money, right?
30 days out from the announcement of layoffs, there's a 22% abnormal return, like plus 22% from those layoffs. 5 days out or 10 days out, it's 5%, right? So let's assume every one of these companies, they fire their 13.9 million people and they get a 5% bump because they all go out and say, AI, we're being proactive. AI is the reason we're cutting these people now. And all the stocks get 5% bumps, just like Block and Oracle did.
And the whole C-suite is, all their bonuses are tied to metrics like this.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I actually cited studies that show CEO pay goes up after layoffs when the performance of the stock goes up.
Yeah,
so by laying these people off, blaming AI, stock goes up, CEO pay goes up. I actually mathed out the CEO pay ratio would go, the market cap of these companies, they would actually, the cuts would add 3 trillion to the market cap of these companies. The average CEO pay ratio would go up 306 to 319. And the average CEO at these companies, because Mark Andreessen thinks they should fire every fucking person, average CEO pay would go up $22 million a person.
That's just their pay, but you're not even including the value of their shareholdings, right?
This is not about overstaffing. This is not about AI. This is about one thing. The 415 CEOs would get paid.
Yeah.
That is what it's about. Mark
And the value of their
Andreessen
equity would increase.
Isn't talking to companies and saying you should cut your staff because it's real. He's saying we will own all the money. We'll own all the stock. This is about Mark Andreessen getting fucking paid.
Well,
Don't like be confused.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have an AI scare. AI is going to take your job. You should have a CEO scare. Who's the CEO that runs your company? Because they're the ones who are going to fire you to get themselves paid. Nothing else. There's no other reasons. They get paid, you lose your job. 100%.
Yeah, and they're all, to me too, it's a very, like, speaking of tech bro culture, this is all very male thought that has really been, like, celebrated, especially recently, which is, it doesn't surprise me that, you know, a man does the right thing and he fires a bunch of people, then the very manly stock market, like, is gleeful about it. It's all very, it's just like starting a war in Iran and bombing people back to it has that tech bro, people who have no empathy vibe to it. All right, can I vote? And
so those
move
are
on?
your 3. Yeah, you've got the liars at engine number 1, the investors at Starbucks, and you've got Mark Andreessen.
Usually I spend some time trying to figure this out, but this is clearly the last one.
Yeah, it's
I
Mark.
mean, this is
the fucking worst.
I mean, we need, I'm kind of running out of things to say about this, but the escalating greed of the CEO class, the C-suite class, the director class that supports them is causing potentially forever harm to our culture. So
yeah, it's done.
Even the biggest blowhards who like Larry Fink agree with me, say it, but of course they're
and then get
culpable in the process.
Yeah, and then invest in AI. And
but if he's
paid.
saying it, what I'm saying is not just some drivel from an Oberlin grad. So all right,
let's wrap up.
Yeah,
headlines.
That was bad. I didn't like that one.
I added a new section.
I don't like what you were talking
winners
about.
Predictions. All right, I had 2 headlines.
I had 3.
Oh, geez. All right, just rattle yours off first.
I'll go quickly, and I'm not going to pause on any of these. CEO of Epic Games apologizes after laying off employee with terminal brain cancer.
Ooh, oops.
First of all, again, like, can you name his name is Tim Sweeney. Can we name these people? My second one is this one is like goes along with everything you've said today. BlackRock CEO, again, that's Larry Fink. BlackRock CEO admits, I hate that word. BlackRock CEO admits woke era went too far.
The woke era? What was the woke era? When we liked black people and women?
Yeah, thanks,
people
Larry. Thanks for
like,
wrapping it up. Thanks for defining it. Thanks for telling us like what. Thanks for. So he obviously has defined the line of demarcation, right, where it went too far. Because who understands society like Larry Fink, right?
Explain to me what
black
made it,
people and women like Larry Fink.
What made it an era?
It didn't go far
exactly
enough, Larry. It didn't go far enough. So you're wrong.
What made it an era? Like, what was the era part of it? Like, we gave like one black person a job, and like, oh, yeah, we went a little too far.
Yeah, I was gonna say, call me up, Larry. What about being woke is bad in our culture? I mean, how many prestigious schools did you go to? Is it? So education, being educated and aware is bad.
I can't even
that killed me. Finally, to lighten up the mood a little bit, Raising Cane's CEO, his name is Todd Graves. I mean, you know it's going to be a guy with a short name. Says he doesn't care for this one menu item, but had to sell it anyway. He always substitutes coleslaw for an extra piece of toast.
Oh.
I just thought that was the dummest thing.
How is that an article?
You want this guy to be your CEO, though?
How is that an article?
I know, but I'm sorry, but you want the guy as your CEO who can't eat. He just said he doesn't like vegetables. Like he's having more toast. What a child.
Do we consider coleslaw a vegetable? It's basically 80% mayonnaise.
It's cabbage.
Isn't it?
It's
cabbage
actually
with mayonnaise.
I went to Raising Cane's for the first time in Boston recently. You need that coleslaw because the rest of the crap they give you is so heavy and greasy that it's a vinegar-based coleslaw. You need something.
It's vinegar-based. Ooh,
you
delicious.
need something to cut through that nonsense they're giving you. So he's wrong. Anyway, I thought that was fun.
I have two headlines.
Go ahead.
The first is new lawsuit alleges DraftKings and FanDuel are digital heroin.
Oh yeah, it's not. I mean, you don't need to allege it.
I don't need to. I don't need to elaborate. Like, I don't think there's nothing of discussion here.
I have dopey friends who bet on everything. Like, it's obviously a drug. Yeah, go ahead.
And the next one, scientists say half the world could be nearsighted by 2050.
But and not woke-sighted. Yeah.
And it's not just screens. This indoor habit may be why. Do you want to know what the indoor habit is?
Yeah.
So a big contributor is screens, like looking at your dopey screen and getting close to it and whatever. The other big problem, the bigger problem is sitting in the dark.
Oh, I don't do that. What does that mean, sitting in the dark?
It means that literally this is where we're at as a society. With a screen in a dark room by ourselves. And that's going to make us all nearsighted.
I guess I'm old because I don't play that way. Even when I watch TV, I have a light on. Like I'm not like a weirdo like in the dark.
Yeah, I can't do the TV in the dark. Yeah. All right, I added a Jamie Dimon says.
Go quickly.
Jamie Dimon's warning: more geopolitical risk for America than since World War II.
Oh, yeah, no dud.
Jamie Dimon blasts remote work as JP Morgan staff revolts over an office mandate. I like that he blasts. Yeah. Jamie Dimon says, classic, JP Morgan could do prediction markets with big guardrails.
Please don't do prediction
Jamie
markets.
Dimon says the American dream is slipping out of reach and JP Morgan is spending billions to fix it.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Yeah.
JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon predicts AI will cut the work week to 3.5 days, cure cancers, and free up time for hobbies.
Ooh, hobbies.
Just in case you were wondering, that is the last 4 days.
Yeah.
That's Jamie Dimon in the last 4 days.
By the way, we talked about this one before. I love that he's like Mark Andreessen. He's settled on a arbitrary number. I love how it's 3.5. And I love the fact that he doesn't realize that if you have to show up to the 4th day, it's 4 days of work. It's not 3.5.
And also, I like the juxtaposition where he's demanding everyone return to the office while saying no one's going to have to go to the office.
Yeah. I hope the hobbies, by the way, are just like shopping at Amazon.com. I hope that's the hobby.
Who won the week?
Angry French people in Quebec. They got the English speaking.
They did. They got their win.
Unlike you rail. I know you hate this. I don't care. I used to live in Montreal. I love it. You rail against investors every week.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I know these aren't all traditional investors, although in all the articles I read, there actually were investors who also chimed in on this. but they took it in their own hands. The legislator, the people, everyone. So hey, there's a way. There's something. All right, what do you got?
In Canada, there's a way where there's still
stop.
decorum.
What do you got?
I think headhunting firms who can suddenly expect 75% of large company employees to be calling them for work. They're the big winners.
Oh,
right?
But it could be 25%, Matt.
It could be 25%.
Or maybe it's 50%.
Look, you're still
But I think
winning
it's,
at
but
25%.
I think it's 75%. I think. I know.
Like,
it is.
it's likely. I know it is. Yeah, I know. What are your predictions?
Air Canada hires a woman who speaks 845 languages as the new CEO, and she continuously just apologizes for something she never did. She just apologizes every day.
That's what she's going to do. She's going to say, "I'm sorry, my predecessor couldn't speak French.
Sorry for the men."
I have a simple prediction this week.
Yes.
Jamie Dimon says speaking French is stupid.
I could see him saying that.
Wouldn't he say that?
Yeah, what he would do is he would let employees speak French, and then a few years later he would take it away.
He would revoke it.
And then he'd be surprised they were mad.
Yeah.
as they completely reorder their lives around the permission to speak French, he'd be like, "You're idiots for caring."
Go back home. You only work 3 days a week now. 3.5 days a week. That's Damian Rollis.
That's a lot.
Analyst Hole, Matt Moscardi, and we are Free Float Media. This is Business Pants. If you want to see all the stuff from this show, it's on our website. We put every single note, like the script notes, they're all there. You can actually read it, so you can get it at any time. Citations, all the links, they're all there. You can actually see where we get all the data.
The math.
You can also listen to Mike Levin and Ann Lipton had a shareholder primacy this week where they talked about changes at the SEC, and it went long because there's so much to talk about. And we have a proxy countdown coming out today where we're gonna. I've got a lot of lists. You got a lot of stuff.
Who's gonna do that? We have new hosts for that.
I hope. Do that. No, that's us. That's all we got. Until next week. Good. Bye.